No one could have wished for what actually unfolded ahead of the start of the Vodacom Durban July. The last-minute withdrawal of race favourite Hawwaam left racegoers speechless and holding their tickets in disbelief. So what actually happened with Hawwaam? Racing News spoke to NHRA veterinarian at the start, Dr. Ruan Sutherland, and Chief Stipendiary Steward in KZN, Sean Parker.
Hawwaam was acutely lame. He gave himself a lamie on his left hind. He walked one in the parade ring and also went down just as well. He was perfectly sound prior to the incident, and in my opinion, he was physically ready for the race. He unfortunately rushed the gates as he went in. He got extremely restless and then decided to rear. I then pulled him out to quickly examine him, and as he turned around, I could see he wasn't right.
Was there any doubt in your mind that the horse had to be withdrawn?
No, there wasn't. I could see he was acutely lame as he turned around, which made the decision quite easy with that regard. And no, I don't have any doubts.
How heavily did that decision weigh on you at the time?
As I scratched the horse, I immediately felt the weight of the crowd, especially the racing public. It was quite a disappointment for everybody, as this was quite a one-anticipated race, basically between Hawwaam, Do It Again, and Rainbow Bridge. Not to take credit away from any of the other runners in the race, but to me, in my opinion, it was a three-horse race. I also felt for Mike and Matthew the Cock and the connections, the Shaker and Angus. It was heavy, but at the end of the day, I need to make the right decisions at the right time, and thankfully I think I did.
Yeah, my heart goes out. I mean, it's the worst case scenario. Short priced favourite, what deemed to be the biggest race in Africa, a tough decision for him to make. It was the right decision in terms of the welfare of the horse. Having said that, all our veterinary surgeons know that whether it be that race, be it a low merit rated race or a maiden plate, our vets would do exactly the same thing in terms of ensuring the welfare of horses running in races.
I'd just like to thank Mike and Matthew the Cock for being such true gentlemen, but more than that, they are real horsemen and they always have the interest of the horse at heart. I also want to thank all the people, the public, and in my opinion, some legends of horse racing for their support, and the feedback I've had from them was phenomenal and humbling. Yeah, it's been a humbling experience.
Sean, what is the position regarding rules and the welfare of horses, particularly on a race day?
There are a number of rules that are covered. Obviously, we start off with the specific rules relating to prohibited substances on race days. You have the use of the crop rules, the prohibited practices rules, which are the serious ones in terms of welfare issues for horses that need to be applied by all the participants in racing. So, a very, very big part of what we stand for and what we do is the welfare of horses.
In terms of veterinary surgeons on race day, what would their role then be?
Veterinary surgeons are a big part. They actually form part of the stipendiary board in the day. They're due licensed as veterinary surgeons and stipendiary stewards to give them those powers in terms of the rules to fulfill their functions. The vet's key role, and we have two on every given race day at KwaZulu-Natal, for our big days like the Vodacom Durban July and the Champions Cup Day at the end of the season, the Gold Cup Day, we have three. Obviously, with the transport problems, the access problems, we bring extra staff in to ensure that the horses can be treated and got to as soon as possible if it is required. So we have surplus, rather be safe than sorry, so we can get there to any animal that might need our assistance as quickly as possible. So to answer your question, the vets are an integral part of what we do on a race day in terms of the welfare of horses.
Our race day can start fairly early with horses that do get injured on the float down to the racetrack. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen, and as soon as those horses arrive at the racetrack, we will attend to them. From there, horses are monitored also in the areas where they are kept, in the horse boxes, and then also from there, horses are monitored in the saddling enclosure to make sure horses don't rear or flip over or injure themselves. Those horses will obviously be looked at and then either be fit or not fit to race. From there, the horses are monitored in a parade ring. If something happens there, hopefully not, then horses will then go on through the chute, and then down the chute, then we'll follow the horses onto the track. There we watch them canter past. If we think that something's amiss or the horse has gone down short, in our opinion, we will then go and look at the horse at the start or on its way down to the start, and then make a decision on either the horse is fit to race or not fit to race. From there, horses are monitored in the starting stalls. This is where things can go wrong very quickly. We do try and position ourselves at a strategic point where you can monitor all the horses in the pens. Obviously, we study these horses, and the starter will make it known to us which horses are problem horses. We try and be as close to those horses as we possibly can to pull them out before they hurt themselves, so they can be reloaded either last or before another horse that could be even more difficult than that horse, just to give the horse a chance to run. But sometimes we get to these horses a little bit too late because things happen so quickly.
In the background, and the rider's off Divine Odyssey. Hawwaam and Anton Marcus, R4.25 million Vodacom July. Hawwaam's playing up very badly.
Then we will pull the horses out, then examine the horse, and then we'll either find the horse fit or not fit to race in that specific race. The horses are then followed at a high speed around the track.
The challenge we face is obviously the marquees in the straight area. There are tents all over the place. The public are on that access road, which is on the inside of the racetrack. And that creates a problem because for every single race there is a veterinary surgeon and an ambulance that follows the horses for the horse and rider's welfare and well-being. On those big days, our senior vet, in this instance Rowan Sutherland, would then obviously go to the starts for all the races and then follow that field all the way up until the 600 metre mark, where there's a compulsory turnaround point. We haven't got access down the road from there. At the 400 metre mark on the outside, through the workshop area, there's an access gate onto the track, which we then have a veterinary surgeon placed there with the horse ambulance, if required. And then in the pull-up area is another horse ambulance with a veterinary surgeon mobile, ready to go should anything be required in the pull-up area and the latter part of the straight.
After the race, horses will then be followed up the chute back to the parade ring where they will circle. There we will monitor the horses carefully, and as the horse comes past you, you will generally look at the nostrils, if it's flaring, if the horse is blowing. You look at the eyes. The eyes can tell you a lot about a horse very quickly, especially horses with heat stress. We'll run our eyes down the legs and look for any cuts. Horses will then be treated accordingly from there. After races, we will then sometimes get called to go to the specimen collecting area, where we will then take blood samples of horses that did not give a urine sample. We try and not wait too long, or if a horse then acts up, we will then try and obviously bleed the horse quickly for the horse to be released. So yeah, from that point of view, we also do doping control and also medicines control. After the last race, we will usually wait a while, and once the last horses have gone on the floats back to the training centers, we will then end our day with a cold one. And yeah, that's a typical race day for a racehorse vet.
So we generally have it very, very well covered on the big days.